A biblical-level plague is now hit Mecca. The question being asked, is this a divine message?
But as the world grapples with the COVID pandemic, the continent of Africa is facing another plague, locusts.
In Mecca recently, an unexpected incident happened when an unusually high number of insects emerged at the Kaaba and Prophet Muhammad's grave. This occurrence, happening just after a heavy rainfall, has generated concerns within the global Muslim community. Speculations are suggesting these insects could be either bugs or crickets, while others lean towards the possibility of them being locusts. The event has initiated diverse conversations on social media, with individuals contemplating whether it signifies a divine message or perhaps a form of punishment. Is this a divine message? Is this a curse? In this video, we will be delving into the full details of the huge insects that invaded the Kaaba in Mecca and terrified Muslims. Locust plague in Kaaba, Mecca. A massive swarm of locusts descended upon Mecca, covering the city's grand mosque in an apocalyptic scene. Seeing these insects swarming around the cleaners and worshippers within the boundaries where millions of pilgrims gather together each year was shocking and threatening. This has happened before in 2007 and 2015. Experts say it's because of the weather and environment, but people in the Muslim community have different ideas about what it means in terms of faith. To deal with the bug invasion, the Saudi government, already dealing with bad weather, started a big cleaning project around the Kaaba to make pilgrims feel better. This event has caused a lot of talk among Muslims about what the Kaaba symbolizes and how Allah fits into the natural world. Thinking about this unusual event, we wonder if it has deeper meanings. Could this natural happening be connected to spirituality or the environment in a bigger way? Plague or message? Scientists say the recent bug invasion happened because of the weather and the environment, not something supernatural. The Saudi government, working with international groups, is taking action to control the bugs and keep the holy sites safe for pilgrims. The bugs were black grasshoppers, and they came in large numbers, so the people in charge at Islam's holiest site started a big cleaning operation. They acted quickly with experienced teams, up to 22 groups, with 1,338 people, to handle this unexpected problem. The Times of Israel reported that Mecca authorities said, "Specialized teams are working to get rid of the bugs." This teamwork showed how serious the situation was, and the people in charge in Mecca emphasized the importance of quickly getting rid of the bugs to keep the guests of God's house safe and comfortable. Understanding how these locusts behave and what they look like is crucial to figuring out how big the problem is. Usually, they show up after a lot of rain, followed by a dry period. They eat new plants and lay eggs in wet soil, and when they get close to other locusts and sense things around them, they undergo a big change. They go from being alone, green, and active at night to becoming bigger, black, and yellow bugs that seek out other locusts, a significant change called gregarization. Many locusts come together in large groups and eat a lot of plants because of certain changes. They become more energetic, and their longer wings allow them to fly far to find new plants and good weather. The locust invasion in Mecca happened because specific environmental conditions caused the sudden appearance of many locusts. In 2018, two big storms, Mekunu and Luben, created ideal places for locusts to have babies in the Arabian desert. These storms happened more because of climate change, creating temporary lakes in the Rub al-Khali. In 9 months, 3 groups of locusts were born, making their numbers much, much bigger, about 8,000 times more. The locust invasion didn't just affect nature, it also got much attention on social media. Videos showed the locusts covering Mecca, surprising and scaring the people who live there. The locusts moved through the middle of the city from the north and were stopped in the east. Even though it was a problem, the swarm in Kaaba caught the media's attention. Kaaba. The Kaaba, also called the House of God, is super important for Muslims. It's where they pray and go for the Hajj pilgrimage. Prophet Abraham and his son Ismail built it, and even though it's been fixed up many times, it stands for the strength of faith. Despite facing challenges like natural disasters, fires, and wartime damage, the Kaaba has existed for over 1,400 years. Although problematic, the recent bug invasion is not the first time something like this has happened. The Saudi government always works hard to protect and fix the Kaaba, showing its importance. Some people find the Kaaba interesting because of its connection to the stars, especially during Ramadan. However, the bug invasion has made people focus on the immediate concerns of the pilgrims who do religious rituals around the Kaaba, like tawaf and prayers. To understand this better, we must go back to the start of the Kaaba, according to Islamic tradition. It's believed to be the first place of worship for people, built by Prophet Ibrahim and his son Ismail, because God told them to. According to Islamic tradition, the angel Gabriel brought the black stone, which is now at the eastern corner of the Kaaba, while they were building it. One must bear in mind that the story of the history of the Kaaba is not just a parable of religious symbolism, it is a narrative embedded in Islamic history. History shows that the Kaaba has witnessed several reconstructions for various reasons, including damage and maintenance. Primarily, in 608 CE, the Quraysh tribe rulers of the pre-Islamic Mecca reconstructed the Kaaba using wood and masonry blocks. This reconstruction showed the Kaaba's evolving architecture over centuries. Before the rise of Islam, the Kaaba was a prominent site for Bedouin tribes across the Arabian Peninsula, serving as a holy site where they worshipped their gods. The crucial change in the Kaaba occurred during Prophet Muhammad's era. Originally, the Kaaba housed several statues of pagan deities, and it was said to be a site for both pagan and Christian tribes for annual pilgrimage. Even so, following the emergence of Islam and subsequent happenings, including the Prophet's successful return to Mecca in 630 CE, the Kaaba was dedicated solely to the worship of Allah, becoming the main attraction of Islamic worship and pilgrimage. All through history, the Kaaba has endured and been restored multiple times. For example, it was badly damaged in 683 CE during the siege of Mecca, leading to its reconstruction, which included the addition of the Hatim, an adjacent semicircular wall. The Umayyads in 692 CE also played a role in its rebuilding. In 1626, following a flood that destroyed the Kaaba, it was rebuilt with granite stones from Mecca. Since then, its view has largely remained the same. Other strange occurrence. In Saudi Arabia, in 2023. On November 2nd, Saudi Arabia experienced unusually severe weather. The city of Dammam, which is an important city in the area, was hit the hardest. There was intense rain and hail, causing many problems for the city and the nearby areas. The weather experts predict that this rough weather might continue in the next few days, which could lead to more problems. The standout feature of this weather was the surprising hail showers, which were big and fast. These hailstones caused much damage, like breaking car windows and damaging store glass fronts. The situation seems quite serious based on the reports coming in. According to local authorities, the weather forecast for the day warned that a big storm was coming. They said there could be strong thunderstorms, heavy rain, and powerful winds in different parts of the country. Places like the eastern province, Jazan, Asir, Al-Baha, Mecca, Medina, and Riyadh were preparing for bad weather. Because of this, the Civil Defense Office quickly gave a serious warning to the public. They told people to be very careful and follow all the guidelines from the authorities to stay safe. They said it's best to stay inside safe places, away from floods, swamps, and valleys. Now that the unexpected bad weather has happened, the local authorities and the people stay alert. Everyone is getting ready for more rain and the chance of more storms in the coming days. They're focusing on being prepared for whatever might happen next. Floodwater gushes through the deep valleys around Medina, Saudi Arabia, looking like blue veins in the marbled desert landscape. The floods resulted from a powerful storm, which brought heavy rains to the desert kingdom during the final days of the annual Hajj pilgrimage when millions visited the region. According to news reports, 29 people have died attempting to travel in the flooded valleys around Medina. NASA's Terra satellite, equipped with the moderate-resolution imaging spectroradiometer, took a picture of floods on January 24, 2005, 2 days after a big storm. In the photo, water with sediment looks bright blue-green, and the bare desert ground appears pink. On January 20, the area now covered with water was white, probably with loose saltpan soil common in seasonal desert lakes and rivers. Both pictures show green plants along Wadi al-Hamd, a river flowing by the city from the northwest. The Black Harat Rahat stretches south from Medina to Mecca, just beyond the southern edge of the images. On Tuesday's internet videos, pilgrims circled the Kaaba, got wet, and slipped on the floor as heavy rain hit and carried objects around. Another video showed lightning hitting the Fairmont Makkah Clock Royal Tower Hotel. The National Center for Meteorology spokesman said the storm brought winds of over 80 kilometers per hour. In the Mecca neighborhood of Al-Qaqiyah, 45 millimeters of rain occurred in 24 hours. Online videos also showed some flooding in Mecca neighborhoods, making people take shelter and stop cars. This was similar to a 2015 storm that caused a crane to fall at the Grand Mosque, killing over 100 people. On Tuesday, Saudi authorities reported no casualties or major incidents. Flash flooding had mostly stopped by Wednesday morning, but there was still some risk. The Meteorology Center warned of more storms on Wednesday with rain, wind, and thunder in Mecca and other parts of western Saudi Arabia. The Mecca regional government said schools in some parts of Mecca would be closed on Wednesday for safety, with classes held online. A Mecca resident said everything went black as the storm hit, and he lost control of his vehicle. Another resident said the scenes around the Grand Mosque were very scary. Someone else mentioned that strong winds usually come to Mecca in August, but Tuesday's storm was the worst they could remember. Locust invasion in other parts of the world. Saudi Arabia is not the only country affected by a sudden and brutal locust invasion in recent years. During the pandemic, North India faced a peculiar invasion of locusts in Saudi Arabia and in the past. These locusts, originating from Pakistan, reached places like Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh. Experts were worried that if the weather conditions favored the locusts, they could cause significant harm to farmlands and crops in North India and pose a threat to the greenery in Delhi. This locust attack added to the challenges caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. To make matters worse, a cyclone hit Bengal before the swarms of locusts caused havoc in Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh. The locusts attacked fields, devoured crops in hours, and left behind a trail of destruction and misery. It was recorded that more than 140,000 acres of cotton, summer pulses, and vegetable crops were destroyed. To minimize further damage, state governments started a pesticide campaign. Additionally, farmers took matters into their own hands, using methods like creating loud noises and smoke to deter the swarms. Swarms of yellow locusts also descended onto the fields of Somalia, in wave after wave after wave, resembling large dark clouds in the sky. These locust swarms could travel up to 100 miles daily, munching down the same amount of food as 3 million people. On the outskirts of the Somali capital, Mogadishu, the locusts had already wreaked havoc. Locusts destroyed maize and beans on the farm and landed in the field around the homestead, and they ate all the grass, turning the land into a desert. For communities directly affected by the locust infestation, this crisis was bigger and far more urgent than COVID-19, which had been raging worldwide. It was a double whammy that had struck the Horn of Africa. The COVID-19 restrictions had crippled supply chains, making it harder to source food and other resources. In this scenario, having the locusts march down crops grown over months threatened to aggravate the problem of food insecurity in one of the most impoverished parts of Africa. In Madagascar, farmers were helpless when a swarm of locusts descended on their rice paddies in the past. The locusts ate everything, leaving the villagers hungry. The animals also suffered as the locusts ate the bulls' food, making them too weak to plow. As a result, everything has to be done by hand. The locusts came from the south, blown by the wind. They flew silently in a huge swarm. At the peak of the infestation, the swarms affected 70% of Madagascar. Combined with the impact of the annual cyclones, the harvest for that year was down by 21%. The World Food Programme and the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization stated that 1/3 of rural households were hungry, putting nearly 10 million more Malagasy at risk. The recent swarms first appeared in 2009, but a political and economic crisis has gripped the country since a coup that year left officials helpless. All the conditions were ripe for locusts to swarm, and at the same time, political, social, and economic crises hit. The fight against locusts needed to be faster, as the coordination center didn't have any money, and the situation grew out of control. An eradication program started in November. 2 million hectares of land were sprayed with pesticides. However, Madagascar still needed to raise about a quarter of the $41 million needed for the 3-year plan. This was the best time of year to start the eradication program because the insects were reproducing and laying eggs on the ground. It's important to recognize that these incidents, like locusts in Mecca and extreme weather in Saudi Arabia, are natural phenomena linked to environmental factors. While people may seek deeper meanings, they may vary widely based on personal beliefs, cultural backgrounds, and individual experiences. However, our focus is on presenting the factual basis and highlighting the importance of environmental awareness in the face of climate change impacts. What do you think? In this sudden calamity, should we blame each other, or should we pay the highest attention to our deeds to prevent the destruction of our ecosystem? Thank you for watching this video. While you are still here, click the video on your screen to see more mind-blowing videos like this one.